little while for people to come in anyway, so it gives you that.
Yeah, it does.
If you start a little bit early, it just kind of puts it out there.
All right.
Usually takes about 2 or 3 minutes. People start rolling in.
Yeah, getting the alert notifications and stuff like that. Kind of chat too, and then see where the chat goes. But yeah, I've been getting into fantasy football too, though, more, as I know that it picked for me automatically, but like I switched it around a little bit. So I was kind of like,
last year I was able to pick live, but you see the problem last year, I didn't know who to pick up because I hadn't played fantasy football. What's this guy doing? Oh, I hadn't played fantasy football. They thought I was joking, but since was it Todd Gurley, the running back for the Rams, was like the elite running back. That was the last time I played fantasy football. And then I kind of stopped. And then last year was the first year I came back and I didn't recognize any of the names.
yeah,
Wow, that's not true because Aaron Rodgers I recognized, but he's already on his way out. But a lot of the elite players, I didn't know who they were, so I had to do a lot of research and trying to figure out who are the up and coming stars. This year I did a little bit better. This year I had a little bit more of a notion as to who the I guess star players on each team are. I still don't know. Problem was back when I was doing this, we had the agency I used to work for. We would do an inter-employee fantasy football, but we put money on it. It was a $50 buy-in.
Yep.
And so it got real serious, and so they used to get mad at me because I never go to bed early, so I'd wait till like midnight, wait for the players to come off the waiver list and become free agents. And I'd pick up a bunch of players, that these guys were waiting till the next morning because they didn't want to stay up to try to get them.
Yeah.
So they used to give me a lot of shit because of that. You're like, oh man, don't you ever sleep? I was like, hey, that was just the competitive streak in me.
Yeah, wake up for a second, pick a couple players, go back to bed. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's all I was doing. If you looked at my YouTube feed back then, that's all it was. It was all these guys that were everything that had to do with fantasy football. The predictions. You started having all these guys that were putting out stats and doing the matchups, kind of like what it is now, but it was just starting back then. And I'd sit there and watch that stuff. I'd pay attention. I'd watch ESPN just to watch the results, and they started also kind of talking about fantasy points and stuff like that. So I'd pay a lot of attention to that. So I was more in tune. The only thing that sucked is that when I really got into fantasy football, I quit really cheering for my team, where I was cheering for players that were playing against my team because I had them on my fantasy football and I wanted them to do good. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, no people do that.
There's no more team loyalty anymore. Yep.
It's crazy this year. Last couple of years, the Panthers, I had Christian McCaffrey when he was still here, and we traded him. He was out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but the problem, the guy's a stud, but he can't stay healthy.
That's one good thing.
Healthy.
Yep. That's one good thing. Not good thing, but that's one thing about running backs, or really good running backs too. They can't stay healthy, it seems like.
That's why it's amazing when you have like a Barry Sanders or Emmitt Smith.
Yep.
That those guys were excellent running backs, and they hardly ever got injured, and they played for a long time. But I guess the game has also evolved because it's much faster. I mean, all the athletes that are playing today the linemen are probably as fast now as some of the players back in the early 90s, some of your position players. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody's just getting faster and faster and faster. So shit's going to break and tear.
Yeah. It's crazy though. What is your favorite team?
I'm a Raiders all the
Raiders?
Yeah, even
Okay.
though we've been horrible for all these years, and this year doesn't. I don't expect too much. I know we got what's it, Minshaw or whatever his name is for.
Yeah.
He's not the most attractive quarterback out there, but he's been getting the job done. So the defense has been carrying a lot of their success too, though.
Okay. So yeah, the Panthers are playing them this weekend. I don't expect the Panthers to do anything good. So,
I
I
can't.
mean, we
You
got
know
Andy
what?
Dalton now, but that's
Yeah,
we
it
deserve
sucks
it.
because I'm not even really excited. I was more excited when we had Derek Carr as our quarterback. Now it's just kind of like, we'll see.
But welcome in everybody. This is Viwas Aquatics and Mexicali Fishkeeper as a guest today. I guess I'm starting a new show. I'm gonna try to do it every Thursday at 5. I'm thinking till now. But welcome in Brandon. So Brandon Lightcap came in. And Outside Aquatics. Welcome in,
Hey,
y'all.
Kyle.
And welcome in. I don't think I've seen, is it Junior Fish Tanks?
Oh
Welcome
yeah,
in.
he's from Spain.
Awesome. Nice to
Yep,
meet you. I'll
Jr.
have to go back on my YouTube and
Yeah, he just updated his avatar too. It looks a lot nicer now. But yeah, he's
nice.
from Spain.
That's awesome. That's the first fish fan I think I know from Spain.
Hmm. If you ever see
Maybe.
Stephen White on in the chats, he's also in Spain. Although
Maybe.
he's not a native of Spain, but he lives there and works there.
I've always wanted to go to Spain and then go to like France, that side,
Yeah,
Portugal.
yeah. JR is always telling me you need to come down and visit.
It would be amazing. Let me go on here. But yeah, definitely. Next time I'm gonna have to get a cigar. What cigar is that you have today?
I'm smoking my father.
Mm-hmm.
I got lately. The problem was I normally either smoke Arturo Fuentes or Padrones. And when I first started smoking, I smoked everything. I mean, whatever cigars were out there, because I was just trying out, see what I like. And I've kind of settled into if I just want to everyday smoke, I'll get an Arturo Fuentes. Unless I want to get something special, then I'll do like a God of Fire or something like that. But if I want something really nice for special occasions, I'll have the Padrones. And I
Mm-hmm.
like the 1964. I think that's what it is. And those are usually the ones that I go to. But lately, I've been coming across the cigar lounge. They've been having these little sampler packs,
Mm-hmm.
and it forces it gives you a different. It'll be like a company that has cigars out there, and they'll give you a sample. It's a small sample of what they have.
So I was
And
thinking about going to a local cigar shop too, in a local fish store.
yep,
They're right near each other. Make like a video or something because I don't know, anything about cigars. But um, when I was younger, I know I smoked. I got in trouble for smoking the Cuban cigar they had stashed the parents, like when I was a teenager, whatnot. So um, they were on a long trip, and I took that Cuban cigars out back. Made me
yeah.
sick though, a little bit sick.
When I there's a place, I don't want to say where it's at because they're not supposed to have them, but it's not here in Arizona. And I used to frequent that place because I used to work near it. And once you got to know the owner, he had a special designated area in the
Hmm.
cigar lounge that you could walk into and you could pick up Cubans. So
Oh
I got
wow.
to try Patargas from Cuba. Those were really, actually, most of them were. It's interesting because a lot of them were just more in the medium to mild range.
Okay.
But my favorite one was Montecristo number 2.
Sweet
Oh
tooth.
man,
I think
that
I heard that.
to this day is still my favorite cigar.
Uh,
And it's not something that'll knock you on your butt because some cigars will do that. As a matter of fact, there's one in here in this pack
mhm.
that I know is gonna put me on my butt because the nicotine content on it is really really high. This was in this one right here, my Father of the Antilles,
Mhm.
and this was cigar of the year. I don't know, like in the what was it? It's a while back, when I first started getting into cigars. I can't even remember when I started smoking cigars. I try to go back and think because it's not something I've always done.
Mm-hmm.
It started, I want to say after my 40th birthday, when I really started getting into smoking a cigar. Because by that time, all of our kids were out of the house, whether they were, the military, going to work or whatever it was, but they weren't with us anymore.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about
So it
nicotine.
gave me time to slow down, and I could sit out we had a, front porch at the house that we were living in. And it used to be real nice. So when the weather, like now that we're starting to come out off of summer and kind of rolling into fall, so like right now I'm sitting in here. It's only 89 in the garage, and it's 2 o'clock. About 3 weeks ago, it would have been 100 in here.
Yeah.
So I know for people are going, you're crazy. That's not cool. That's hot. But for us, because we're always running 112, 114, 116 in that range, 89 degrees is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's the middle of the day where it's the peak of the heat, and it's so it's pleasant. I'm sitting here just with a fan on, and I can actually enjoy the afternoon. It's actually pleasant. Hey, David. And so that's when I'm trying to remember. I remember the very first cigar I ever had. I must have been like 18, 19. And at the time, I was going to a trade school up in Phoenix. It no
Mm-hmm.
longer exists, but it was called the Phoenix Institute of Technology.
Yep.
And I remember we graduated, and one of the guys that was a friend of mine, I guess he smoked cigars. Well, he smoked blunts, but he said, "Have you ever had a cigar? Because we need to celebrate." So I didn't know anything about it. I said, "Sure." I thought it was a good idea. We had some beers. We had a cigar. Worst experience ever because that was my very first cigar. So I didn't know anything about cigars. I didn't know you had to take it easy. I was trying to smoke it real quick. So the nicotine hit me and it made me sick. And at that point, I thought, I don't want to do cigars anymore. It's not for me. Fast forward about 30 years later is when, what was it that it's freaking YouTube. YouTube is guilty of all my vices. I was watching a video and they were talking about cigars, and I thought it was interesting. It was God, what was that channel name? These guys did a
They do
bunch of
whiskey
different
too.
stuff. Yeah, they did whiskey and they did cigars, and it was like two guys, and they started talking. It was a video on how they would roll cigars and explaining what cigars were, and how they break them down into thirds. And I thought that was real interesting. So that kind of got me back into wanting to try cigars again. Um, there's a inexpensive way to get started with cigar.com. They'll
Mm-hmm.
sell you a sampler. It's like 20 cigars. You get a nice little humidor box that comes in it. You get a cutter. And I think well, this is the original lighter right here. Look, I'm not even gonna lie. This is from when I
Oh yeah,
first
pretty good
started.
letter.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's been through a lot, and I still have it. It works.
Yeah.
And it was like $30, I think, $30 or $20. It's something ridiculously cheap. Of course, you're not getting like some of the fancier cigars, but when you're first starting out, it doesn't matter. You just want to go through the experience. So I ordered that, and that was kind of what got me back
That's
into
what
it.
I think I would do, honestly,
Yep.
because like I had them, but like I want to get into them more and like enjoying them more because we were at a wedding and my sister's husband and we had cigars.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but if you ever pay attention to my videos, you'll see I have up on the wall. You see that
Mm-hmm.
next to that shelf? Those are all the first bands that I smoked for the first year.
Oh
Those are all
wow.
the cigars the cigar rings that when I was trying them out, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm gonna save these because these are the very first cigars. Yeah. And those are the very
Yeah.
first cigars that got me kind of back into cigars. Now, out of there, maybe the Olivas are still ones that I go. Oh yeah, I have my father's on there. So, but there's a lot of other cigars in there that were kind of like you have Quorum, which are like the inexpensive ones, but they're still pretty good. the quorums are the ones that I'll usually buy when I go golfing
Okay.
because they're not expensive, but they're actually decent cigar. And when you're golfing, you're not really sitting there and enjoying a cigar because that's the one thing that you learn is you start learning to appreciate the different tobaccos. And they say, I don't know, I haven't really gotten that deep into it, but you can taste all these different notes out of cigars.
Yeah.
I'll see guys that that'll sit there and describe, oh, it tastes like leather and chocolate and barnyard and all this other stuff that I don't. For the most part, it's either a cigar that I like how it tastes, when I'm smoking it, but I won't be able to tell you, oh yeah, this cigar has hints of leather. And no, that's not me. I'll
Yeah.
enjoy it. I like it because it makes me slow down, sit down, not think about anything, and just kind of have time for myself. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I smoke cigars. And
Nicotine too,
it
you know,
well, there is, but it's not.
but
I
is it?
don't. It's funny you say that because the one that I was showing you, that last third is high nicotine content, and that's what a lot of guys like. That's why I don't smoke the last third. Sometimes I'll have cigars if it's too strong. I'll smoke the first 2/3, and the last third I'll just leave it. I don't like getting that buzz
Yeah.
and
I would probably
and
start the lighter ones first too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you don't want to get hit heavy at first.
drinking
And
wine.
I used to drink a lot of different beers. Like I don't do it much anymore, but like what do you call them? I don't even remember the names. They
Microbrews?
come out. Yeah, microbrews. Those type stouts. The chocolate like
Yeah.
coffee brews.
Well, some of those beers really pair well with cigars.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I'm not having a drink, well, I graduated from I say graduated. I went from because I would have beers all the time, especially like
Mhm.
stouts. You start getting to some of the fuller body beers usually pair very well because they won't get overpowered by the cigar. A lot of your lighter beers, the cigar smoke would just annihilate the taste out of the beer.
I can
But you
imagine.
start getting
Yeah.
into your reds and some of your darker beers, and they hold up. IPAs,
Yep.
yeah. The only problem with my wife loves IPAs because she likes the bitterness. That's where I guess I'm not a big bitter tasting things kind of fan.
Yeah, I love the stout ones, but you only have a couple of those, like 12% milk stout.
I like Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen is kind of like my go-to beer.
Yeah.
Yep. All those
And then
wheat style beers.
And then if I'm going the cheap route, I'll get like a light beer, some type of light beer.
Well, lately, I've actually had because it's interesting because when I was a kid, I hated the taste of beer. I was not, I'd go to high school parties and everybody's drinking beer. I never got into it. I never had that taste for it, and I just wouldn't, hey Garcia.
What up, Garcia?
No to the wheat. But here's the thing though, even since I was a kid, I was never one to really, when you're growing up, it's a thing, oh, I can drink a 12-pack, I can drink a 24-pack. Those were kind of like the bragging rights. With beer, I could have one or two and that was it. It really hasn't changed that much. Even today, I think the most I've ever drank beers is and it has to be in a party setting because I don't really drink a whole lot by myself. I'm a social drinker. I need to have other people around me having a good time to be able to have a drink. But when my wife goes, "Oh, you had how many?" 4 or 6. I don't think I've ever had more than 6 beers ever. And typically it'll be 2 or 3. That's usually where I stay at. And that played in perfect for me for the microbrews because microbrews are not beers that you're going to be drinking to get hammered. That just, it never works out well. If you're having a microbrew, it's usually because you're enjoying the flavor of it and you're kind of doing like with a cigar where you're just kind of not really thinking about it and just kind of enjoying it for what it is. So that's where I kind of started getting into the microbrews and really started taking appreciation for that, just because I have one or two and I'm good. And
Yeah.
that's usually because they're heavier beers too, though. And
Yep. You can have
after a
food
while,
probably.
you feel bloated.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't. I'm the same way. I never drink. Like I don't drink. I get that throw up feeling if I drink a lot of like light beers. So 6 probably is about the
Yeah.
same too. And then I
Well, for me,
even
and that's what happened. I guess there's a thing to be said to living the single life as a military
Mhm.
man, because you get a lot of stuff out of your system. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do a lot of things that are not very smart, and you get to live through them, and then go, okay, I don't need to do that again. Uh, I know for a while there, where you're welding out, especially coming out of basic training, and all of a sudden you're still relatively young. I came in a little bit later because I got in. I was
Little
already
night out.
21 by the time I got in. I was actually 20. I was 20 something, and by the time I got done with basic and stuff like that, I had turned 21. So I was one of the few guys that could actually go out and get beer and buy beer. So there used to be the first couple of the first the first year, I guess it would be those getting blacked out drunk, just because there was nothing else to do. You're doing your training all week long. Come Friday after you get dismissed, didn't have to come back to formation till 6 in the morning. So you just went and got hammered, did all kinds of stupid things over the weekend. As long as you didn't get arrested, you're gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
okay. You're
Yeah.
gonna
Right.
be okay.
As long as you don't get caught.
Hmm.
Nah.
As long as your commander wasn't getting a call that you were in trouble, you could do pretty much it. And then at the time, I was stationed in Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia. So they
Oh
used to
yeah.
have a recreational lake that was probably about, I want to say, like 45 minutes from the base, and we could rent Ford Fiestas for like $15 a day. There's the little
Boy,
tiny
those small.
the little Ford cars. So we used to like four of us get together, rent the
Just young.
car, pack it up. Hey, Fernando, we used to pack it up with groceries, whatever, and the cabins were free where we could stay at, and we could the boats, all the stuff on the lake was free
Hmm.
for us because we were active duty. So we would just go out there and every weekend, is out
I
on
was
the
about to
lake.
say stay the weekend there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and or I don't remember if they were free or but it was like stupid cheap,
Yeah.
where all four of us would get it and we'd be there the entire weekend. And just it was fine because
The
even though
PC
it was a
bit
lake,
is funny.
even though it was at the lake, it was still part of the military property, and we didn't have to go anywhere. So there was a lot of things that they would let us slide with, that if we went out to the public, we would probably be in trouble for.
Yeah.
Um, so
That's a
that's what
good.
we would do. But
Mhm.
come around Monday, because we would get paid on Friday. Come around Monday, we'll probably have like $20-$30 for the rest of the week to get us through payday, because we just partied hard. But like I said, I did that at that time. So by the time I got out, I was done with it. I didn't feel like doing that. So now I what I think the last time that I overdid it, uh I was I was blacked out for like from Friday till Sunday afternoon. It was just that was the last time that I got so bad. And I said, you know what? I'm done. This is I didn't want to do it anymore. And then it just kind of weaned off. And then that was
Yeah.
it. And so now I don't drink to get drunk. Never have. No, that's not true. Recently I don't do that
Yeah.
anymore. Um, I
I
like to
mean,
be more social, be cognizant of what's going on. The minute that I like to maintain a certain level of what we call buzz,
hmm
where you can feel just a little bit where it's starting, but I don't elevate it from there. And then I'll start have a few when I get there, and then probably 2 or 3 hours before we're gonna leave or whatever, I'll just stop, have some coffee or whatever, especially if I have to drive.
Yeah, at the Keystone Clash, I 6, 7 beers. I was getting that way, and then smoking. There's the Keystone Clash outside the hotel room, at the front door of the hotel. There's probably like 12 groups. You go group to, I was walking group, talking to everybody, and I had such a blast. I can't make it this year, unfortunately, but I got 6 beers, and then it was late at night, and everybody was asking where I was the next day, and I just went to my hotel room, passed out. Because I knew, like, if I kept this up, I'd black out. So I remember everything too, though. But yeah, the Keystone Clash, that was fun.
Yeah, that's actually an event that I eventually want to be able to go to, just because what I see from that event. I mean, yeah, the auction, the fish, that's all really cool. I think that would be very interesting. But for me, would be the social interaction. Because every person that I've heard that's gone to it, and when they come back, they're super excited because they got to be able to do the hang with other people that we interact with in the chats, in YouTube, but we don't have that opportunity to meet them in person because the distance. But that grants that opportunity to hang out, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. That is the biggest appeal. That used to be the appeal for me for Aquashella, but it seems like every time more and more they keep talking about going back to what it was, but I don't know. I would have to see it. I think they made a big mistake of getting rid of some of the key people that were really organizing and making it a community event within the fish fam. That to me, it's just another commercial event. It's lost its appeal. There's no, unless I want to go pick up some fish or something like that. I really don't see. I might just go once just for the experience to say that I've experienced an Aquashella, but it would have to either come to Vegas or over here in the West Coast, because I'm not spending the money to go all the way to Dallas and stuff like that, or even Chicago or Daytona.
Because one thing I noticed, because I went to the Charlotte Aquatic Expo, it's kind of, I would say almost, I've never been to the other one. What is it called? Can't think of the name. That got the Clash, the Expo, Aquashella. Yeah, Aquashella. So, but what I noticed at the Keystone Clash, the hotel is all in one, so you're not really going like a Daytona. You're going to a beach and other places in different hotels. There's only one huge hotel, and that's where everybody stays, and that's where everybody wakes up in the morning and goes to the fish show in the morning. And you wake back up, and then you meet people. Like across from me was Garcia, and then Sam Scales. I let him stay. I had 2 beds. I let him stay in one bed in there one night, and it was just, everybody was great. Same like on camera, like me and you talking.
Yeah, the only thing I looked at it, God, it's expensive for me to do it because I'm not traveling by myself. My wife always goes wherever I go. So I was looking the rooms. I don't know if I was looking at it wrong or whatever, but it seemed like it was like almost $300 a night.
Oh, I know. I have to look back. I know I canceled it because last year for me it was more than 1,000 for everything. I know. I didn't buy any fish or anything like that because I was flying. But I don't know for sure the hotel prices.
Yeah, I was looking at that, or maybe the total, but then between the flights, when it was all said and done,
it is expensive.
It cost me, I think, about $1,600 or $1,800 for the weekend.
Yeah. And another good thing though is like you can sit down at the Clash and like make videos one-on-one with someone if you wanted to, like a Bentley Pasco or someone you want to, and there's like a table, everybody around, and it's like at Aquashellas you can't do that. There's no place to go.
There used to be. That's what I'm saying. They kind of went away from that. I don't understand why they did that, because one of the biggest I know they have their big content creators. You have your aquarium co-ops, you have KG Tropicals, Prime Time, Joey at one point, and then that's from the freshwater. And then I'm assuming on the saltwater you have big channels like that. I just don't consume a lot of the content for the saltwater, so I don't know who the big people are over there. But yeah, they were drawing in people, but some of the smaller channels like us and stuff like that, they were still bringing in, a lot of people to the event. And it was, and not only that, it was more of a, and I haven't been to either one of them, but it sounded like it was more like the atmosphere you get at the Clash, because you got to interact with a bunch of people. I mean, before I guess KG Tropicals Primetime and Ben Ochard got real big, they used to hang out with everybody else there, so you got to meet everybody. And then it would be beneficial if you were doing content, because you would get out of there and people, they would talk about each other and support each other, and it helped channels grow. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if I do know that's not so much the case anymore. And
you can tell from the lives too, and people going and their experiences.
And that was the other thing. I don't know if they have a gag order on people from not allowed to live stream from there, but you don't see any content coming out of the event anymore. So, and that was the other thing that was attractive, because you get to see all that stuff, and it made you want to go.
Yeah.
And not anymore.
That'd be weird.
Like I said, that appeal for me, and obviously this is from my point of view, and what my expectations were of the event. It's like the event is great, but it's the excuse to be able to get to meet the people that was really drawing me to it. And I don't think that's the case so much.
Yeah, that's the same here. Because like at the Clash, it's more about the people, and then you got your vendors, which are like the really YouTubers and fish hobbyists too. And you don't have more of the fluval people there.
Well, the Clash is interesting because it's actually a club.
Yeah.
So there's a big portion of the people who are totally unaware of who we are or what we do or any of that stuff. They're there because they're diehard hobbyists, and they're going to see if they can find a good deal on fish. So it's genuinely like a club meeting. But what's nice is it's the opportunity for a lot of the community to come together, and that's why it becomes what it is, because it's that one time of the year where several people can come together and meet, and then it becomes like its own little sub event from the main event.
Yep. That's because in the hotel lobby there was just so many people, and everybody was grouped up talking just because there's so many people, and then you meet up in one group eventually, and having that big guitar, when Mike played the guitar, everybody was around, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat at the end of the night, where they got together and hung out and just socialize. I mean, I'm more of a social person, so I enjoy that. And I understand that in this hobby, it's kind of the opposite half the time. People tend to be more introverts, because it really is an introvert hobby, because you're just kind of you in the tanks.
And some people get like so mad at it, like other people's like thing, but it's like, just, you are who you are, and you just go, you know what I mean? And you visit the people there, and they're the same, and you talk to them. I don't know how to say that, but like, I don't get so stressed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just, people are who they're going to be, and I just accept that.
Some people get anxiety around big crowds, and I understand that, especially if you never really lived like in a city. And I think that's one of the reasons why that doesn't affect me so much, because I grew up in LA as a kid. So it's people on top of people on top of people. So you don't have a choice but to be, more social, because there's just so many people. We used to live in I think it was like a 4-story apartment complex when I was a little kid. So you got to interact with all the kids in that apartment building. And so I'm used to being around crowds all the time. It's not until I became an adult and after I got out of the military that's not the case anymore. And even by most people's standards, the city that I live in, because we were just talking about population. I guess I live in a community that's about 200,000 people, and compared for the West Coast, that's a small community. Because if you compare it to Phoenix, you compare it to San Diego, LA, San Francisco, it's a tiny city. But you go to the middle of the country, and it's, most communities there, a small community is about 8,000, 5,000 people.
Yeah.
They're bigger towns, they're probably 20,000 people.
Wow.
And so it's all kind of relative. So of course, if you're from those types of communities, big groups of people, you're not
Yeah.
accustomed to it. You're not accustomed to it. So it can be intimidating, I guess, if you've never had to experience that. So I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's understandable. See those Venezuelan or they're the quarries behind me. Those are the only ones I've bred so far. I have 4.
Nice.
I gave to a friend. Yeah, they're doing good.
Did you purposely breed them, or they bred by
No,
accident?
no, yeah, by accident. Everything. If I'm just if I sell anything or give away anything, it's not like full time. It's just by accident. So
Hmm.
like I sell some cherry shrimp here and there, but it's just like a couple dollars here and there. It's nothing
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
yet, but like I been doing that lately. In all my tanks, I put cherry shrimp, and they do pretty well in there colony wise.
Yeah. For the most part of my time in the hobby, that's what been the situation, is just being able to establish an aquarium where everything gets balanced out, and then eventually the fish would just start, breeding on their own. Um, it wasn't until probably last year that I wanted to see if I could intentionally breed stuff,
Hmm.
and I documented it was the angelfish, and I decided to go with those because one of the problems is when you breed fish is you're going to have an excess of fish, and you got to have a way to get rid of them. Um, I'm in a kind of unique situation because I don't have a local fish store. All we have is a PetSmart, so there's no way I'm going to take these fish and turn them in for credit or sell them to the PetSmart. Excuse me, they're not going to do that. So I decided angelfish usually do pretty well. Most people like them. I constantly see people inquiring about angelfish on our Facebook groups. If anybody saw them. So I said, okay, I'm going to try to see if I can breed these. The other thing that gave me a little bit of confidence is because I made the mistake of believing what the videos say, that they're real easy to breed. Well,
Hmm.
yes, they're easy to breed. What they don't tell you is rearing up the fry is where the challenge is at. And I think that goes pretty much with most fish that you try to breed, especially if they're on the smaller end of the
Hmm.
spectrum, is trying to get them to get past that wiggler stage into free swimming juveniles. That's where the really challenge comes, in my experience. And that's only, and I have very limited breeding experience. But with the little
Same
bit that
here.
I've been trying to purposely breed, that's what I'm finding out. It's just
It's cool though because you're
be
learning, and that's
yeah,
how
well,
I have.
and
You're
and
always learning, right? You know what I mean?
but yeah, but that's what keeps me still interested in the hobby. I have to do that because if I just keep tanks and all I'm doing is maintenance on them and enjoying them, eventually that'll get old, and you kind of lose. Wow, me, and this is me because that's just my personality. I would lose interest. But what keeps me coming back is always trying to do something a little bit different, learning about something new or trying something new. Like right now, I have a little colony of cardinal tetras. They're still too small to breed, and I've been kind of reading up on how to breed them. If I had to say what type of a breeder I am, I'm a lazy breeder. Here's what I mean by that. I rather have the fish be able to breed in their own environment and not have to be pulling fry out and have them develop. I understand that my outcome of that is going to be a lot less than if I were to pull fry and eggs and hatch them myself. But at the same time, I don't mind that because the one thing that I've seen here happen is guys that are breeding fish and they want to maximize every fry, and they get
Hmm.
to a point where they inundate the market because they have so many of those fish that nobody wants to buy them. So
Yeah.
what I've figured out is I can breed a little bit of extra. So, and I don't have to be selling on a regular basis. But if I can, for like the angelfish, it took me, I want to say, about 10 attempts to finally figure out how to raise the fry. And even then, I wasn't overly concerned with the with with the maximum amount of fry to grow out. I just wanted my goal was if I can get 6 fry out of that whole clutch to grow out, that was success for me because I could house 6 extra fry in my aquariums. It would be easy to put them around. I would learn what the process was, and start learning that so that in the future, if I were to get in a situation where I could build a relationship with a place that I could offload large quantities, then I would have the ability to be able to do that.
Hmm.
And that was part of the process. I, finally, just doing lots of research, watching videos, talking to people that have had successfully bred them, picking their brain and figuring it out. I was able to get all this group that I had. This is all the original group. So now
Yep.
I've gotten to a point now where I can sell these here locally, and I'm not worried about offloading them all at once because, if I keep some of these, it's fine because then I can try to rebreed them again and see what happens.
Do you have to
So it
mix
allows me to
some,
do
or
what's that?
do you have to mix like species like guppies? Like I haven't got
Mm,
into that
I,
breeding,
I
but
think
I didn't
eventually
know.
down the road, I will have to introduce
Yeah.
new
I didn't
genetics
know.
so that you don't have a lot of deformities. But I'm not at that point yet because
Okay,
these are all F1s.
so you can
And
wait.
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
I can pick out, maybe 6 or 8 that I really like, put them in a different tank, wait for them to pair off, and then pull out potential breeders from there. Other
Nice.
thing is, I could also potentially sell them as breeders.
Yep. Night Owl said I have to hit him up. Not Night Owl's from North Carolina. I
Mm.
helped him with the event in the Aquashella Beagles. Get to message you last night. Too late. I'll shoot you a text. Free class trip. Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
Definitely, yeah. I'll definitely talk to you later about that. Yeah, hit me up. He lives in Winston Salem, not too far. It's like
Oh,
30
okay.
minutes north of here. Wow. Yeah, last year was fun. It was good. But
Yeah.
are you selling the angels though online yet? Like, say if
Uh,
anybody
I,
asks, or
I this is what I'm waiting on. I sent June a group of 8, and she's
hmm
supposed to receive them today. And if they're okay, if I didn't have any issues, then I'd have a little bit more confidence to be able to ship them. But I have a real narrow window of when I can ship because right now I can still send stuff out and not have to worry about it being too hot. And the rest of the country, the temperatures are still pretty mild that they would do okay. I don't have to worry about putting heaters in them. I know if I wait a little bit too long and start getting into maybe the end of September, beginning of October, it might be a little bit too late for some areas where the temperature starts dropping a lot quicker.
do you do?
Uh,
Did you do overnight or not overnight, but next
I
day?
do right now. I'm doing the UPS 3 day, whatever the express,
hmm
you know,
That works.
and like I said, right now I'm waiting to see. I've done them before. I sent Steve some fish that I had, but I wasn't too worried about that because that's in the southern region. I didn't have to worry about that. These are obviously not as north, but Merced is still a little bit further north, and the temperature gets a little bit cooler down there a little bit quicker. I think they're going to be fine, but I'm just waiting to see. Once I see that, I was counting them. I think I still have about 20 other angelfish. I might offer those up if anybody's interested in taking them. Not all 20 at once, but if they want some of those, I could probably sell some of those.
Now, do you
And
seal the bags with the sealer, or did you?
I don't seal them. I just tie off the ends, and
See, I sent John some endlers. The only time I ever sent fish, and I did the same thing, just tie it off. But I did a bag of endlers, and I used a box I already had insulated, and I didn't have to worry about the temp jet either. But they're wild endlers, so they did good. He said Fishion has them now. I think it's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. And the other thing is because people tell me you don't sell are you selling any fish? It's like, I mean, I could, but it's not anything special. You know what I'm saying? It's not anything that nobody that store out here doesn't have. But if people are, I like right now, I'm overflowing with bristlenose.
Oh yeah.
I've got three tanks that are just, I got bristlenose coming out my ears. Hey, give me a minute. I gotta go do
Yep.
something real quick.
I appreciate everybody for coming in. This will be a regular type show featuring Mexicali today. I figured name it cigars, football, fish. But yeah, thanks, Night Owl. I'll definitely have to hit you up on that. I gave my ticket though to, I can get my own ticket, but I gave my ticket to they make you a little bag there, but I can still get it. Name whatnot. But we'll figure that out. Testing out this mic too today. Thank you again for everybody coming in. If I didn't say proper hello to everybody. Is it Elfish? Fishion? Garcia?
Yeah, that coffee was starting to go through me. I had to go
Oh
take it.
yeah. What type of coffee was it? I saw, was it like a
It's from the rifle company, or what's it called? The
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, Black Rifle, I think it's called.
Yeah, I heard those. I haven't
Yeah,
had
that one, and I'm doing which one is it? It's like their dark roast one. It's
Mhm.
really good.
That's cool. They really started where they started out in the military, then YouTube, and right, they made their coffee.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I guess the guy used to be he used to be one of the operatives for the army or something like that, but the guy was really into coffee. So, but yeah, I had just, matter of fact, this is the first time I've ever bought it, and I'm really enjoying it. So,
Have you had ever any problems with I haven't, knock on wood, ick or anything? I know I will, but it's just a matter of time.
yeah,
I
you know
think
what?
ours,
I've been very fortunate that has not really been an issue with me. I've had it at the beginning when you're first learning, of course, because you're putting
Mhm.
fish into a uncycled tank. It stresses them out a little bit, and you're kind of putting them through the process. So I had a little bit of a ick deal there, but I'm not I'm not really bringing in fish all the time.
Mhm.
So my fish have been, they're not getting introduced to a lot of new stuff, and they're pretty, all my tanks. If you look at all my, there's the same fish that I've had pretty much since I started. So I
Yeah, if
guess
you're
they're
not
pretty
bringing nothing
established.
in.
Yeah, so they don't get stressed out as often, and because that's usually what'll induce the ick is, stress.
That's what I
So I
was
haven't
gonna.
really had to combat it, but the few times that I had, and it's not necessarily a plug for the product, but it just works for
Mhm.
me at least. It's been ICX,
Okay,
and
yeah, I have that
usually,
on hand just in
yeah,
case.
I have it here on hand too, and it's worked every time for me. I know some people said that they haven't had any success with it, but for me, it's. I mean, I don't use anything else because I know it works for me.
Yeah, one time the not the Corys, but the neon tetras I had, I didn't know if they had. It's like, ick spreads. Like, of course, I've
Yeah,
researched, but it had one little dot, and I'm always like, because I'm new at it, and it went away, and it wasn't ick, it was probably a piece of sand or something. Like, I get
yeah.
freaked out sometimes.
Well,
That's what
neons
I was
for
gonna
some
say.
reason, they are a little bit more susceptible to. They're not as tolerant for some reason.
Yeah, I still have them
But
too. The 6 neons. I know you're
but
talking about.
the only neons I have access to is what PetSmart have, and half the time they're hanging on for life in those tanks. I usually will buy like, a group of 20, and I'm lucky if I'll end up with 3 or 4
Yeah,
out of that whole group. And I'm not going to go back and get my money back, even though you could, but
yeah,
it's not
I
worth
don't
it
either.
because they don't all die off at once. They start just gradually dying. A lot of them have external, um, you know, infections and stuff like that. That
Parasites and whatnot.
yeah, I just there's a point where you have to make an evaluation and go, is me dumping in $50 worth of met worth the trying to save these neons? So it's kind of like, it's got to a point now where I just use temperature and salt for a lot of
Yeah.
the stuff.
And what kind of salt do you? I know they sell that.
I buy the stuff that you can get at Sam's. Is regular sea salt. Let me show you.
Okay. I need some salt on hand. Yeah, I definitely need some salt on hand.
It's just
Oh,
you
yeah.
know regular.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's just sea salt.
Nothing in it. Yeah, as long as nothing.
Yeah, I use that. Although, you know how everybody says you're not supposed to use table salt?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, Rachel O'Leary has a video where she uses table salt. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
I don't
if it
know.
works-
Maybe one day I'll try it.
yeah, I mean, I like learning different ways and stuff, cheaper ways and whatnot. Or if it happens, you don't have to go buy that stuff. You can just get it out of the kitchen. It works, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. You know, there's a lot of stuff that over the years I've kind of tested it to see if it's true what they say, because you get a lot of information that just gets repeated over
Yeah.
and over, and half the times you don't know if it's really true. You're just buying it at face value.
Got to research the research. Yeah.
Well, not so much that. It's just
Science.
I'm very curious that way. I've always been. So
Mhm.
it just gets to a point where I go, well, let me see why it is you can't do this. And a lot of my aquariums are set up in trying to figure out is it true or not that you can do certain things. And it's kind of been like a little mini lab for the most part.
Yeah.
And you know, you sometimes you find out, oh shit, yeah, it is true. Don't do that ever again. And sometimes you make these discoveries where you go, wait a minute. Everybody says this is going to happen, but I didn't get that result. Why is it? And then you start kind of going into trying to figure out what it is. Sometimes you figure it out. Other times it's just a mystery, and it just happens to work just for you. For you know, it's just one of those things. You know, that's what's interesting about the hobby is that not everything is set in stone. There are good practices that are out there that'll prevent you from having a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying something.
Oh no,
And,
I'm just still getting used to the
Raphael.
chat. Yeah. What's up, buddy?
And then there's times where you start doing things and you go, okay, well, where did this originate and why did it originate? And sometimes you come to find out that it started with good information, but it somehow in translation it evolved to something different. And you start going, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not necessarily always the case. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I always encourage people to, you know, when people ask me, hey, can you keep this and this together? Maybe
Try it
you might
out,
be able
right?
to pull it off. Try it out. And if you see that it's not working out, then take actions to mediate that, because some people can pull it off. I've seen people pull off some weird stuff. There's a channel in Spain, MBR, I think is his channel name. MRB, yeah. This guy, I found it interesting because he had I think it was like a 120, and everything they tell you you can't do as far as fish keeping, he was doing it. I mean, he had Africans with South Americans, he had small fish with big fish. I mean, you look at this thing and you're going, oh my god, how's he pulling it off? And the fish were healthy, and he
Yeah.
was doing it, but it broke every single rule that's out there. So after seeing that, I said, you know what? Nothing's set in stone. You're not going to
Exactly.
find out unless you try it. If you see things are not working out, be prepared to have a backup plan. But I will no longer tell people you can't keep goldfish with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yep. Because I have 4 puffers still, but it's only a 10-gallon 4 puffers and a couple endlers in there. And those endlers I picked out, and they're not breeding. But if they were, I guess the puffers and eat them. I don't, but the shrimp colony in there too is going crazy, and I take out the shrimp colonies, mix it in, different tanks to get the shrimp going.
Yeah,
But
that's
they
the other
say
thing.
not
Is
to.
like I constantly hear, "Oh, you can't keep shrimp with so and so species." Well, there is some truth to that, but they're not giving you the whole truth, and
Mhm,
that's the problem. The problem is if you're trying to breed shrimp for profit because that's what you want to do, of
mhm.
course, do not keep them with anything else because the fish will be eating your profits. You still will have more shrimp than what you started with, but you're not going to be able to reproduce enough to be profitable. So if you want to do it for profit, yes, have them in their own tank so nothing predates on them and you can explode the colony. If you
Yes,
just
that's
want to
right.
keep shrimp for the sake of keeping shrimp in a tank because you like the way they look, by all means do it. I have most of my tanks are community tanks and I have shrimp in them.
Yeah,
Now,
that's me too.
now it all started with one tank where I was doing coals, just throwing coals in these aquariums because if they ate them, I was not too worried about it. But even in the coals, they'll throw off original, the original cherry shrimps.
Hmm.
I know because I've never thrown any cherry shrimp in there, but I have them now.
Hmm.
And once in a while they'll survive. And if you give them enough hiding areas, they'll be
Yeah.
able to reproduce. Not all the shrimplets will make it, but you will always have shrimp in that aquarium.
You go
And
every now and then and look at the tank and like, dang, there's a shrimplet. That's cool,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, I'll be surprised in tanks that I thought I didn't have any shrimp,
Hmm.
because I hadn't seen any in a while. I'll come back, a few weeks later, and all of a sudden it's like, oh. As a matter of fact, right now, when I did this whole moving process, I had a group of Celestial Pearl Daniels, but because in the process or whatever, a lot of them stressed out and died, and I thought I was done with them. I just looked in that tank that they were all in there,
Hmm.
and I guess they must have laid eggs because now I got fry, and they're
Nice.
Celestial Pearl Daniel fry. So it's like, holy smoke, okay. So
Those are
the
good.
eggs hung out in the moss because I don't clean that one has a little bit of moss in there, and I kind of left it purposely there because I was hoping they would, if they were spawning, that they would lay eggs in there. But Celestial Prodanus are notorious for eating their eggs in their fry. So I guess because I never really pulled anything out, they were
Hmm.
consuming whatever was making it through. But now that there's no adults in there, whatever was left over in eggs or whatever are hatching, and I got little fry now. Not a whole
Wow.
lot, but it was. I thought I didn't have any anymore.
Hmm. That's always good too on a fish like that. You don't know. Would it? Some fish lay eggs. What fish lay eggs on the rocks? Like scatter,
Yeah, a
Danios
lot of
type.
the egg scatters
Yeah.
will deposit them there. And again, that's where I go that I'm a lazy breeder because if they're doing that, I'm not necessarily pulling the eggs out. If they hatch and they make it, that's great. Now, I'm sort of in the process of whether deciding whether I really want to turn into a business
I see
or I
that.
want to have stock in hand. That's going to change because then at that point, if I'm trying to breed, it'll be breeding for profit, not just breeding for the enjoyment of having more fish. And that's going to be a whole different method of me going about how I do these things.
I think
I
you should
have,
definitely go do that though. Do that for
yeah,
sure.
well, I want to try it again. A lot of this stuff is I'm doing it because I want to garner the experience. I want to be able to have that so that I can have that in my pocket for if I ever need it. But what I also learned is that even out of a small fish room, if you wanted to make it a business, it's
Mhm.
hard to really breed a lot of fish to be able to turn around and sell. You quickly, I mean, you could
Run out.
quickly dwindle down your stocks because you're kind of limited. You do need a lot of areas to be able to breed that, or you're only breeding one specific species where you have multiple tanks growing up fry, and then that becomes that. Now, for me, the way I do things works out just fine because I'm not constantly putting stuff out in the market. I could probably do it once a month where I'll announce it. Hey, I have this available. If you want to come and get it, come and get it. Well,
Hmm.
that allows me to be able to breed the way that I breed. which is kind of like leave it alone, let them figure it out. And then if I have some extra fry, then once they grow out, I can turn around and sell whatever I have extra from there. And it makes it so that I'm not inundating the market, flooding it with all of this species of fish that pretty soon everybody is kind of like, oh, I already have some, so I don't want any more.
Hmm.
The idea also was I was looking into trying to buy, if I can buy wholesale. The one thing that I know that I will always be able to move here because there's just such a demand for it is plants. So the
Wow.
idea behind trying to get my wholesalers permit, or not my wholesalers permit, but to be able to buy from wholesale is because I want to buy plants. I can't reproduce plants fast enough to be able to sell trimmings. So
Hmm.
anytime I announce that I have a little bit of plants, those go quick.
Wow.
And but I also want to be able to buy like stuff that doesn't require a lot of input. You know, you don't have to run CO2. Hey, June.
Hey,
Um,
June. Thanks for coming in.
oh shit, it went out. So you know, I want to be able to buy wholesale plants, keep those in stock because those are going to sell. There's no doubt. Even our PetSmart doesn't carry plants, so there's a big vacancy here.
Yeah, even I think around here at PetSmart just
And
barely
then the
have it.
other thing is, yeah, you could order them online, and I've done that too. And if I'm having that issue, most of the people here too is that our plants bake
Yeah,
in transportation. You know, by the time you get them, they're sad. Um,
you probably only get one, like couple one out of them
yeah,
all.
you know, out of the whole bunch, you might have a stem that makes it, and then by the time it goes out, so being able to have plants on hand where they can come and pick them up and just take them to their aquarium, I think that's going to work out good for me. And in the process, it'll allow me to buy species that I want to play with without having to pay retail price for them, and be able to for me to buy a group enough where I can get what I want, and then anything that's excess, sell it to the public.
Yep.
And but that's my business plan. But I'm not looking to make it like a fish store where you're trying to make a profit all the time. It's just I want to be able to buy species that I want, maybe pick up a few extras, knowing that there might be some people that might like those, and know that I can recuperate my investment
Mhm.
when I buy the whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just so that it becomes self-sustaining. That is my goal.
yeah,
But I've always said when I retire, that might become like my full-time gig, just because it's something I can do from home, something that'll keep me busy, something that'll, that I can look forward to getting up every day and doing something. And at
hmm,
that point, then things, obviously, my business methods is going to change to curtail to that. And but that's kind of where I'm at now. But I do want to be able to get that. I haven't pulled the trigger on it just because of the cost. Um, and it's not that expensive, but
yeah. It's just where
yeah,
to
it's
go
just
to and doing it. And then
there's a lot of services out there that'll do it for you, but they all try to sell you all this extra stuff. That's the thing. Right
yeah,
now,
like
what I'm trying to
TurboTech.
figure out what is the bare minimum that I need so that I'm not overpaying for all these added services that you really don't need.
Yeah.
And I know Diego from Pet Thotics was kind of
Oh yeah.
giving
Okay.
me giving me some information on that too.
Definitely. Yeah. That sounds like a cool plan too. Especially it's fun just doing it and selling it. Not even the money part, just meeting people, selling the
Well,
fish, getting new fish.
yeah, that's the other thing. And right now I've just kind of been going through Facebook because that's this really the target
Now,
audience
how
for
do you
my.
how do you do that? Because like one time, I go to Craigslist sometimes in my area, but sometimes Facebook you got to word it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't
Or the
put on
groups.
there that they're for sale. You don't
Yeah.
say that they're that you just don't put any denomination. Usually what I do is I say these are available, send me a message. That's it.
Okay. Yep.
I'll put a picture of what it is, and then they'll send you to your messenger or whatever, and then that's where they can inquire as to how much they are or whatever, and I can tell them, and That's how I go about doing that. Um, as far as I'm aware, that's not necessarily going against any of the
Not
guidelines.
breaking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that I'm not breaking any guidelines, but
you're not breaking any laws either. I mean, people do it all the time. It's just Facebook's little thing. And
so you know,
I've seen a lot of businesses too out of that house lately. Like even cooking businesses. Like they sell food on the Facebook Marketplace. Hello, welcome in. Thanks for coming in.
well, David, that's one of the guys that
Yep,
he formed a community, a group for a lot of content creators down in Mexico.
that's awesome. I actually went into his. How do you say his name? I went to his
Peces
live.
y más,
Faces y
fish and
Mas.
more.
Nice. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I was in his live a couple times. I think I met you in his live one time. You like Brandon? What's up?
Oh yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. There's a big community down there too well, David, of content creators down there too, which is
I
but
love the way I'm watching yours. You know, you bring up different, and even if I have some little bit, but most of the part, 80%, I can't. But I'll watch it. You know, just to see the creator. Is I know you do that for the community and stuff. That's awesome.
yeah, that it's funny because the last video I did where I went and toured that fish store down there in Mexicali,
Hmm.
that's actually garnered a lot of attention, uh, and it's something that is, I guess, I don't know how many content creators there are in the city of Mexicali that are doing YouTube. A lot of them do like Facebook stuff,
Hmm.
but I've actually had a couple of stores reach out and say, "Hey, would you mind coming down here and doing a store tour?" So I said, "All
Oh,
right,
wow.
cool. That's
How
pretty
far
interesting."
away is that from you again?
It's only about a 45, 50-minute drive for me.
Ain't bad at all.
Yeah.
And then I have never crossed it to the border, but I'm sure you just crossed the border. Would they let you bring in fish? Even
Well, I think I'm going to film that for the next one that I do.
it's
I'm going to film the
heavy.
border crossing. Yeah, you can't film the entire process because they don't allow you to film.
Yeah,
But I'm going to figure out a way to set up the camera so
have it
you
in your
can
car,
actually
maybe.
see me driving across the border. I think that might be something that people might be
Yeah,
interested in
see how it works.
watching. It's not that big of a deal though.
No,
A lot of people think that it's
they're
a
looking for the
real
hardcore stuff.
complicated process to cross the borders. No, you literally just drive across. You just go through this little shaded area where
Mhm.
the Mexican customs guys are sitting there, and they don't even really check. They're checking for contraband, really,
Yeah,
when you're
they're
going into
checking
Mexico.
drugs and
Yeah,
hardcore.
no, not even drugs. Drugs,
Oh,
because the way it works, drugs come into the U.S.
mhm.
and money and guns is what goes back. So they're looking for money and they're looking for drugs. I mean, guns.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, coming out and stuff. So going in, is it different? The same thing? Do they like?
It's a lot more complicated to get back into the U.S.
Okay,
It's easy to get into Mexico. It's hard to get out of Mexico.
I was about to say one's harder than the other.
Yeah, and even the wait times when you're going into Mexico, it's like a flow of traffic going in. When you're coming back, you're usually sitting in line waiting.
Hmm.
And it varies depending on the time of the day. Uh, it could be like a 5 minute wait, or it could be a 3 hour wait. So and if you're trying to go across with TJ, it's gonna be an hour minimum.
Yep, have YouTube on the phone, sitting in traffic.
That's what I used to. I used to watch Netflix when I was
Yeah.
living in Mexicali and I had to go work in the States. Uh, and because in the morning during the peak time where everybody's going to work, well, all the commuter traffic that's going to work, we all waiting in line. So you'd be in line for anywhere between an hour, 2 hours. So I just sit there, throw on the phone and watch a couple of episodes of my favorite show, and then be across and go to work. But that meant that most of us were hitting the border no later than 5 in the morning, so that we
Yeah,
could be at work at 8 o'clock.
yeah. Give it extra couple of hours to get there.
Yeah.
I'm
that's one
sure
of
you
the
see.
reasons why. That's one of the reasons why we decided to move to Yuma, because I was telling my wife. Well, a couple of things happened, but the reason we started looking even before the whole vid thing was because I would have to leave about 2.5 hours before my start time at work because I never knew what the border was going to do. It could be that I could cross in 20 minutes, or it could be that I was sitting in line for a couple of hours, and I couldn't afford to be late for work. So my commute to work usually ended up being like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour process.
Wow.
And I started telling my wife, you know what? I'm getting tired that I have to leave so early because I don't know what's going to happen at the border. Um, but if I go to Yuma, which was only about an hour away for just sake of purpose, I would have to leave my home maybe an hour earlier than I normally have to do. But I know I'm not going to hit. Hey, Eduardo, ¿cómo estás? He's part
Hey,
of that group too.
thanks for coming in. And you say his name again? Eduardo.
Eduardo, it's un acuarista como tú.
Nice. Thanks for coming in. I really do appreciate that. I'll have to
And
check your channel out too for sure.
and it started getting to the point. I said, yeah, I'm going to be driving for an hour to commute to work, but it's only an hour. I don't have to leave earlier because I know every day is going to be the same thing unless a massive accident were to happen on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the case, but seldom does it ever happen that there's a big traffic accident. So it started making more sense just because quality of life. It's just kind of like I don't have to be leaving earlier and earlier every time. And then once the pandemic happened and there was the possibilities of closing the border indefinitely, that's at the point where we said, no, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
We got to leave because we're dependent on my job in the state sites, and I can't afford not to be able to go to work and not know how long I'm not going to be able to go to work. Because they would work with me and they would probably give me vacation time, but the way things were going, it was kind of like they were talking about going months at a time. So that kind of pushed us to start looking a little bit more down here, and that's really the only reason we left, or else I'd probably still be in Mexicali.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, but it's we're still relatively close. I think one day I'm going to do a stream showing everybody geographically where we're at, so they get a better understanding when I talk about going down to Mexico. It's not really that far.
Yeah, 45
It's
minutes.
really not that far. And then because I still stayed on the border, the only difference is instead of being in California, now I'm in the state of Arizona. But for all intents and purposes, it's kind of like if I'm almost in California anyways, because it's really just a bridge that differentiates from California to Arizona, and it's not a very far bridge. It's maybe, I don't know, like what, 50 feet across or something. No, it's a little bit, maybe 100 feet across to get across the river, and that's pretty much it.
Now, where was that tilapia filmed from? That was awesome.
That is where I work. But as you guys know, I work on the Colorado River. We operate a dam that's there. It's the last manned dam that is operated before the water goes into Mexico. So that's how close we are to the border. So we control the gates there and distribute water to 3 different, is it 3 or 4? Actually, technically, I guess it's 4 different water districts, communities that use the water from the river for produce or for city water. Because we provide water for the county of Yuma, the Gila water basin, Mexico, and the Imperial Valley Irrigation District, which is a company that I work for. So we distribute the water to all those different areas. Well, along the Colorado River, obviously it's dirted. It's not lined. So you have these natural seepage that happens where the water will just kind of migrate, find lower points, and it creates these little waterways. So that one happens to be near a reservoir that we have, and it's water that is seeping out of the reservoir underground and just kind of coming out of low spot. And that's why you see like that little oasis in the middle of the desert. That's why everything
Yeah.
is green. But that's because water's coming out of there.
Yeah.
Now, how those tilapias got there is beyond me. I know it's an invasive species for the Colorado River, but I'm curious as to how those got, because it doesn't have access to the main waterway.
Yeah.
And as you can see, there was an introduction somewhere along the way. I don't know if it was through rain, where you had a wash that just kind of brought them from one place to another as fry, but now they're kind of trapped in that pond, and they're getting, there's full grown, there's medium size, and then you can see a bunch of fry. And
Yeah.
I could literally take like a pool, the pool nets,
Yeah.
and literally scoop them. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do that because I don't have anywhere to keep them. But I thought it was kind of neat that it's just they're there for the picking.
Yeah. Now, do they have like any signs about fish in there or anything? Or is it
I've talked to someone that's out there, and I've told them, I said, look, what's the situation with the regulations? He goes, if you're using like dip nets, you just need a fishing license permit from the state. Yeah. He goes, as long as you're not bringing out game fish, because I told him, he goes, what are you trying to capture? I said, like minnows and stuff like that. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, bait fish? I go, no, these are for aquariums, not for. He goes, oh, okay, well, most people get them for bait, he said. I said, yeah. Well, I'm just, want to collect, see what's out here and film it for content. He goes, oh yeah, you're fine. Just as long as you're not using a sin net and you're not fishing them with a rod and reel. He goes, and it's not game fish with the, like the bass, the carpy, the sunfish, with stuff that you require a permit to fish out with a fishing pole. He goes, as long as you're not any of those fish, you're fine. He goes, you can take whatever you want. It's just small fish. They don't consider those, I guess, game fish, so it's no big deal.
That's one thing I want to do. I want to try it. Definitely, it's go out to the Rockies River.
I encourage people, if you have a little waterway in your area, just take a net. I think for me the pool nets work perfect because you can extend them. They're telescopic, so if it's a situation where you can't get that close to the edge, you can stretch it out, dip it in there, and see what comes out.
We have Wilmington shiners, they're called, but I think you can't pull those out. I have to read more on them because I was reading something about those, but I definitely want to get some and make a tank out of that, like Rocky River tank.
Well, out of here, I've been able to pull out some gambusia, and I know they're not the affinis because Steve he goes, oh, they're affinis. I said, no, they're not. He looked at them. He goes, oh no, they're not. It's the other gambusia. And I got some sailfin mollies, which are also invasive, but I like them. They're pretty cool. Right now, I don't have any males. I'm hoping to have some pregnant females, and I have some fry that are growing out that I'm hoping at least one of those becomes a male, because they get their face is yellow, their body is silver, but when they get in breeding mode, they get these horizontal red and blue lines all across the body. The yellow intensifies, and at the tail end, it'll turn like black, but it has this iridescent like light blue that goes around the trim of the silhouette of the fin, and they look beautiful. And they're wild fish. They're wild. So I'm trying to see. I lost the male that I had. I think I have one that's sitting in this other aquarium, but I'm waiting for the fry to grow out to try to see if I can get them to reproduce.
Wow, because you see some mollies nowadays expensive. Like I go through Dan's Fish, and they have some mollies on there for like $300 or something like that.
Yeah, but those have been more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the guppies, where they've been line bred to the ones that he has. I guess they call them cauliflower because all the fins they look like bettas. The fins have really been overgrown, and I think they're albino red eyes, which is hard to obtain. And then what I'm finding out, because I just recently bought some lyre tail swords, you can't breed lyre tail with lyre tail. It's got to be a lyre tail female, I think, with a regular male, and then from what I understand, half of the fish will be lyre tail, and the other half will be um, just regular swords. So you gotta call them. And then I think the reason they were saying you can't do the two lyre tails because you'll get infertile fry. Supposedly, I don't know. This is all new to me. I'm just learning. I've been doing a little bit of research on that. I got them because they look
Yeah,
amazing. I've never seen anything like that, and I thought they were pretty cool. So that's going to be another project that I'm going to try to learn a little bit more from
be
and see
awesome
what
to see
happens.
too.
I have some Sanke swordtails, but those are easy. Those are just they're nothing. It's just the coloration on them. They don't, and they've been able to breed in my aquarium. I'm growing out the fry. I'm going to find out if that's the same situation with those, if those fry are sterile or not. But I haven't heard anything on that yet. But somebody had commented on my video that with the lyre tails for sure, there's a high possibility that if you breed them two lyre tails, you're going to get infertile fry or sterile fry.
Yeah. So the ones he had say like there's different kinds because I was looking at I have wild endlers, you know. I don't know the name because there's
The
like two.
Pasiliad, what is it
Yeah,
called? Pasiliad. I forgot. I used
there's
to know
two
it all.
different kinds, yeah, or three
Mhm.
different kinds. But I would just sell if I sold those, I just sell them wild endlers, you know, because I really don't know like the price and the
Well,
I
all
mix
the
I mix
antlers,
colonies.
the original antler is wild, and what they've done is selectively bred them for different colors. Like I was looking at, I guess the black bar antler is the wild type, and the green bar. All they did, there's a little bar that's by the anal tail
Yeah.
that is black. They've kind of selectively bred it so that it looks green. That's the only difference.
Okay.
But people want those because they're not the wild type. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I haven't really delved too far into that in that rabbit hole yet, but maybe someday. Right now, what I do want to get are some black chin live bears, and I know Ryan from Wild Fish Tank has like 3 pair. So I need to order some from him. I'll probably get a couple pair and see if I can breed those out. I
Nice.
had them at one point, but the guy that I got them from, they had what is that cala calamenis, that red worm that they get when that it's not it's the death sentence for most live bears, and they
Oh,
they died.
okay. I haven't seen that yet. Come across research it yet. Sorry if I
But
can't control my
those
cat.
black chins are pretty cool. I mean, for being alive, I mean a wild type fish, I like them because they tend to have a little bit of yellow. The whole
Hmm.
underside is all black, and then the rest of the body is silver. But I can kind of appreciate that.
That's awesome. And they're like a wild
Yeah, those are
looking.
wild fish. I think they're out of Cuba, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're also known as the Cuban live bear or something like that.
Cool. There's so many different types though. Like you said,
Oh
going
yeah,
down the
there's so
fish
many.
tree.
I can
Yo,
understand
Jeff.
now why the fascination for a lot of live. You see, I when I first was introduced to live bears, you get introduced to the three big ones: guppies, uh, mollies, and platies. It's not until you really start digging in that you find out that there's a whole other group of live bears out there. You got like the least killifish. You have
The
the soreless the soreless swordfish, which is the what is it, Miller eye, and those are pretty cool. They look like little platies, but they're actually swordtails. And but there's just so many. There's so many live bears out there that we are not aware of. Well, you got the Goodyeats too, which are,
you did. Yep.
you know, they're sort of a live bear because they're not
Have you
laying
seen the
eggs.
platinum half beats? Have you seen those?
Yes, yes. The
I've
half beats are a live bear too, which I love them because they're like a little miniature gar,
yeah. They got that
and
the mouth like they're top feeders, you know.
they don't
Sit
get
at the top.
very big. That's what I kind of like because I like hoarding. I like having lots of different species. Anything I can keep in a 20-gallon or smaller, I'm all in because it
Yeah.
allowed me to collect. I have that collector itis that Lucas Brett is always talking about.
I'm a nanofish guy too. Like you see my 60 even, and that's like the biggest tank that I have down there. And that's yeah, mostly all nano, like schooling type fish.
Yeah. So yeah,
And the
that's
dwarf cichlids too.
that's kind of what I'm doing, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I just want to be able to get my license so I can purchase from a wholesaler, and really, it's gonna like I forgot who I was telling that I want to do it because it'll allow me to create content too. I'll be able to buy some fish that I want, talk about them a little bit, put them in, set up a little skate for them, and keep them. And if I have extras or they make extras, then it's something I can sell here locally. So
Yeah,
and hopefully with those sales, it just pays for them, outright. So
that's what I would do for sure. I mean, because that's what I need to do more now is filming, making content videos, and getting into it more.
yeah, but I'm the worst one for making content.
Me too.
There's a lot of stuff in here that I know most people would make content out of, but maybe what I need to do, because I haven't done anything for my members, which is horrible. Maybe that's what I'm going to start doing now, just to do something out of the ordinary, since I probably wouldn't, kind of like what Funk's doing, where he does these odd things on his member channels. Maybe that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Just, a day in my fish room and turn on the camera and people could see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, then it's, it's stuff that I'm not gonna film and make a video out of, but it'll give me an opportunity to interact with the members, the few that I have, and they get to see what I'm doing in the fish room, I guess. I know it's funny because most people don't find that stuff interesting, but I do, and I watch it when people do film it. But I know everybody is people that watch that are more like fish nerds, that are really interested in what's he doing there, or how's he been able to pull that off. So
do you have like a favorite type of fish, or just like a nano guy, like just the nano
it
fish?
Changes all the time. Every time I think
too.
I have a favorite fish, it's I see something new and I want to have it. I guess it was the species. I guess right now it'd be live bears. I like all sorts of live bears. I'm really, really liking them. So fun watching Habs fun there. Yeah. It's just that, and I think really what it is fish that I can keep in planted aquariums. Because as much as I don't want to aquascape, I say, oh, this is like a grow out. I always end up messing with it and turning it into a little scape, maybe simple scape, but nonetheless, I can't see empty glass boxes. Is what I can't
That's
do.
how my scapes are, just here and there, and putting the plants, let them grow, and I don't really escape it out much.
Jeff is right. We were all watching him. We were all watching him plaster his baskets.
I was looking. Yep.
But yeah, it's just. I guess anything that's a community fish is what I want to start playing more around with dwarf cichlids.
Oh yeah.
But to be able to do that, it gets expensive if you're doing it retail price. Yeah. I think it's going to get a little bit cheaper if I can do it wholesale price.
I like little goldeneye, Rick's. They're in Dan's Fish. I don't know the scientific name, but they're like a car type. I would say it's a dwarf cichlid. I have two of them. They're amazing, funny.
Yeah, that's what I've been learning. Lady. There's so many of those that fall in that Akara group that are just beautiful fish, and I have always understood the fascination with cichlids in general because they tend to be very nice looking fish, but for the most part they're like big fish, and you got to have big aquariums. And finding out that these dwarf cichlids are around is kind of feeling that itch to venture into cichlids, but without having to have the big aquariums to keep them. And so that's probably something that I'll definitely be interested in doing. And then like cichlids, they're egg layers, so maybe try breeding them. I mean, I've successfully bred convicts, but who doesn't? Those are like the guppy, set it and forget it. Add water and leave it alone.
Yeah, right. Just don't do much. Welcome in, Ben Sharp. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, Ben.
How you doing? Yeah, that's cool with meeting new people too. I don't think I've met Ben yet.
Oh no.
Nope. Well, I might have seen him in the stream, but thanks, Ben. I'm gonna hit your channel up too. Coming in. Some people you see and you don't.
He keeps
Cool.
staying similar to you and I.
Okay.
Community, smaller fish. June says she slept through the mud drying.
Yeah, he had a long stream on that. That was good. I'm doing good.
Well, it's one thing I noticed is I don't know what's going on, but it used to be, I guess it goes in cycles. There was a point there where you couldn't turn on YouTube without running into somebody live streaming, and lately it's kind of been hard to find. I mean, I'm sitting at work trying to listen to a live stream, and they're not there.
Yeah. Every now and then I'll just do video game live streams. That's just for, I know I ain't gonna get much fish for you people. That's just me having fun, whatnot, knocking off before work. But I know you're saying like morning streams. I remember the Aquatic Morning Show. That was always
booked. It was booked
always.
Solid. Yeah, it was all the way up until like past lunchtime, and then you had the afternoon ones, and there was days there where you couldn't find a spot. They're still on the calendar, but they're not really doing much.
Yep. And she'd have different people up. I hope she's doing well. I haven't seen nothing on that.
Well, the other thing you could do when you do your gaming, find other content creators that also game and play with them online.
Yes, I need to get back.
I'm not a big gamer, or else I would do that. But I know I constantly hear conversations about people playing certain games.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's something you could do that's a little bit different, for a live stream is FishFam community members that also game with you live, and you guys can go back and forth.
We need to do that, like start like out something that has cross platforms, because someone might have a PlayStation, computer, Xbox,
Yeah.
So like something like that would be Fortnite, something, or like it depends what everybody wants to, Like I like sport, I like all kinds of games, just because I'm a gamer and stuff. Yeah, welcome in, Ben. But yeah, collecting is another thing. Like I said, I want to do more of. I also have a magnet fish. I'm a magnet fishing and pull stuff out of the river, and whatever I find, I throw away too. It helps the ecosystem. I think, you know what I mean, like metals and plastic while I'm out there. I always come back with a bag.
I remember watching a channel a while back where I started watching that stuff, but the guy I was watching all of a sudden came across a crime scene.
Oh yeah. They have cars, guns, magnet fishing.
Like, holy smoke! The law enforcement had to get involved because he pulled up something he probably wasn't supposed to have pulled up.
Yes, so if you find guns, a lot of people find guns and grenades. You're supposed to call the cops. I've never found. The only thing weird I found was a jar. It's not really that weird, but it had pictures in it, like family photos, whatnot. You could barely see it. It had pins and like a voodoo doll in it. And it was a jar, and that like a mason jar. And I opened it. I was like, should I even open that?
Yeah, I would have thrown that sucker back in there. I don't want none of that bad juju following me around.
Yeah, right. It's like they were poking the pictures and lighting them on fire. It looked like.
Oh wow.
And but
that would have been scary.
Yeah. Never. So magnet fish, old cans of scrap metal. Yep, same here. But yeah, people get guns and they have to get the sheriff out there. And after you can have the gun if you're legally, whatever.
If it's not involved in anything, I guess.
Yep, they'll research it and they'll give it back, or you have to go to the station and get it after. But they won't.
Are they operational though? Have they been in the water for that long?
No, people I think just like to keep them as like their
souvenir.
Souvenir, But I'm sure maybe somebody.
I don't know.
Now, live grenades, they have to get a bomb scene or something out there.
Oh, yeah. No, those. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be pulling up no grenade.
Yeah, they pull up grenades and they have to call law enforcement and stuff. I'm like,
that sucker would be going right back down to the water.
Yeah.
The cops got there.
Yeah.
You don't want that pin falling out and going kaboom.
Now, grenade, I guess because it could go off over time. I guess it just sits there. But still, I wouldn't want to mess with it.
Ordinance, I've
Yeah.
learned. I learned over the years you don't want to be messing around with ordinance,
No.
even if they tell you it's a dud.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's even like a dead firework. I'm like getting close to it. It's like, no, because I have those before.
Yeah, because at that point it's even more dangerous because it's you don't know when it's going to go off.
Yeah.
I know down here in our area there's a lake called Salton Sea, and for the longest time it used to be they used to do missile testing, not missile torpedo testing out at that lake. And you got the scrappers that live out here. There's a community. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll be like, "What the hell?" It's called
Oh, yeah.
Slab City. Slab City. It's in a little town called Nyland, right outside of Nyland, California.
Is it where people live? Like,
Yeah, they're just kind of like out in the middle of nowhere.
is it trailer? They have like trailers in the desert, I think, and they all know each
most
other.
of those people, the way they make money is they go into the bombing range and they scrap the metal out of the bombing range. And every so often they'll come across some unexploded ordnance, and these knuckleheads will start banging on it and have it go off.
Wow.
And obviously taking out a couple of people that are working on it. But it happens like every 5 years or something where you'll hear about it because these guys are pulling out. And even here in Yuma, there's a big bombing range, and these guys are just playing with borrowed time because one of these it's like playing Russian roulette. One of these days they're gonna get one that's just gonna take them out.
The fish got they come back.
Oh, did they? Oh wow. We'll see.
It's always trial and error.
Yeah.
With anything in life,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do to really cool off the box, though. That's the thing.
Right?
That's why I wanted to see what was going to happen because you gotta think they're also in a container, and temperature in a container will get a little bit higher, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they make it through.
It's awesome. Yeah, I hope they do good for you. Most of the time now, like I said, I ship to John, but it does happen. I have shipments of fish and plants and come in. Things are out of the control. It's the part of it.
Yeah,
for the boxes around.
For us, I really have to wait probably to the beginning of October to really be able to pull off shipping here in this region of the country. I think now, like, what's your temperature right now? Your highs?
We're in the 80s. Now, right now, I think 80s and then low 60s, low 50s.
Okay, see, like right now, I could get away shipping probably to the East Coast because of that temperature range.
Sure.
It's not going to be, and then they're going to fly. They're going to fly those packages out there. They're not going to drive them. Whereas here with June, they probably got land shipped. They went out of Phoenix because they go from here. They send them to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix to I believe Bakersfield, and then from there they get trucked to wherever the other post office are going to.
Mm-hmm.
But that's they're sitting in a shipping container, so they can get pretty warm.
Oh yeah, the shipping container with the sun on it too.
Yeah. So.
Beat that.
Well, hopefully they make it through though.
But yeah, I'm culling. I got some shrimp out now to sell, but I'm getting a bunch of coals and mixed colors too. This one tank.
I need to start doing that because at one point I had all colors in one.
That's insane. Like I do it because
I really didn't care, but now that people are asking me for different color shrimp, I might start going in there and pulling all the Riders Reds that I have and put them in one tank. I have some Blue Dreams, and I'll start pulling the best ones out of there and set them up in another tank. And then any other off color, if I get an orange or something, I might try to start a colony of that.
I get oranges for my cherry shrimp, and I'll try to separate them. But like I said, I try. You know what I mean? Like
maybe that's a good video for the members only kind of stuff.
Gamer.
Yeah.
Tank.
Well, Brandon, you got anything else
Yep.
for me?
That's it. I think that was a good first show. You're always welcome back.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm going to do it this, but I'm going to do this every Thursday. Might make myself something like comes up in life, you know. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming in. I love what you do, seeing everything, and we've known each other through the years, you know, on lives and whatnot.
You and John were some of the first people that I ever got to live stream with.
Yeah, I know. That's what I like. That's what
you guys were the first ones. Actually, you guys were the first ones that I ever actually live streamed with.
I think so.
Up until that point, I had never done that. I would always, hang out at you guys' live stream. Got to meet it. It's funny because you guys would go on the real late night. You guys were the late night crew. So anytime I was working graveyards, there was times where we would stay on just chatting through my entire shift. You and John. And then at that time, what was it? Gina that would come in, Misfit, June would be there too. I mean, it was, a whole group of people that it kind of be Bunny Viper was always like a regular one too.
Glitch too. Glitch would come in here. What up? Definitely not plushy, but yeah, that was definitely good times because it was like the first live stream meeting people too, and then John was there too. John was the late nighter because one time I would leave and it was on my stream. I was like, y'all can hang out if y'all want to or not. Y'all don't go live. It's up to you. And he'd stay live later one night than me. It's cool. But I'm definitely going to have to get him too, pull him through one day.
Like, pop up as a guest one of these days.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see how he's doing. I mean, I know he's doing fine, but it'd be nice to see him, say hi to him, talk to him a little bit. That'll be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see him back up here. But I really appreciate it. That was I have those lives too up if everybody wants to go back. I think I have some lives, but there are John's too as well. So, but I have a lot of videos I need to go through, but those are good ones.
As a matter of fact, I think even when I was on those live streams, I still was in Mexicali Fishkeeper. I was going under my normal name.
Jorge.
Yeah, George Sanchez.
Yep. So, I think so.
Yep. I didn't have a channel back then yet.
That's crazy. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming in. And I guess with that, I'm going to end it. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with us. And, just always appreciative of the support that I get from the entire community. I just can't thank people enough for that.
Yep, exactly. Same here, and positive vibes. But with that, y'all have a good night. Appreciate it, everybody. Peace.